Hi everybody, it's Richard here and welcome to another video. This time I'm going to take a look at 5 of my favourite record producers. They're not necessarily my 5 favourite, but they're 5 of my favourite, although the last one I'll look at is actually my favourite. Okay, the first one up is this guy here. And that is Mike Chapman. Now, Mike Chapman was part of the Mike Chapman, Nicky Chin songwriting team in the 70s, but he was also a huge producer as well. Now, he did write the singles for and produce Mud, Suzi Quatro, and Smokey. Now, he also did write for The Sweet, whose most of their hit singles were by Chin and Chapman, but it was Phil Wayneman that actually produced their records. But probably his biggest claim to fame in the producing role was for Blondie, when he produced Parallel Lines and Eat the Beat. He also did Auto American as well, and I think he did The Hunter, which are iconic albums. They really are. The great sound of them. And he also did The Knack. Is it Get the Knack? The one with My Sharon on it is his production, which was huge in America. I don't think it was as big here, although the song was very big here as well. And then in 1983 he produced this glorious album for Agneta Falskog, which is her first English album. She had plenty of albums in Swedish in the late 60s, early 70s, but this is beautiful, and the actual track, the title track, Wrap Your Arms Around Me, is gorgeous. And then he also produced half of this album for Altered Images, and that is Bite. So this is probably their best album as well. It's very, very slickly produced, beautiful, beautiful album. I just like the sound he gets. It's that 70s sound, and it's clear, but it's not overly clear. But I still think he's one of the best producers ever and one of the best songwriters ever. So he would be in my top 5 of this 5 list anyway. Another one who I do like, and that is this guy here, and that is Steve Lillywhite. Now, Steve Lillywhite really started in the early 80s, around 1980, and has been responsible for producing some really, really strong albums. Most notably, he did Peter Gabriel's third album, which I think is probably Peter Gabriel's best album. Well, in my book anyway. Games Without Frontiers is immense. And then probably these guys' best album, XTC, and that is Black Sea, and that's another Steve Lillywhite production. And I think he did U2's best album, which is War. I know a lot of people like the Joshua Tree and even Achtung Baby, but this is the one I would always come back to for U2. So Steve Lillywhite production. And a girl that very rarely gets mentioned on the VC, and that's Joan Armatrading. And this is a pretty good album as well. This is The Key, and it's got the fantastic I Love It When You Call Me Names on this, and the big hit single of this was Drop the Pilot. And this one here, which I know Graham Watson loves, and that's Sparkle in the Rain. Now, this is a really in-your-face production, and I think Steve Lillywhite was a little bit like that. He didn't really hold back too much, but it's not as bad as the later 80s material. So this is a very, very strong album. This is probably my second favourite of Simple Minds, my favourite being New Gold Dream, but the songs like Speed Your Love to Me, Up on the Catwalk, and The Kick Inside of Me, I think are magnificent. It's a really, really strong album. And then not forgetting his wife as well, who he produced, who unfortunately died in a boating accident, and that's Kirsty MacColl, and he produced this album as well. So he was very prolific in the 80s, and he produced a lot of really great music, so he would get in my top 5 as well. Okay, the next one up, I'm going to give it to this guy. And that is Geoff Gellin, of course. Now Geoff Gellin, aside from writing for nearly everybody, he also produced for everybody as well. He did write for the Everly Brothers album in '83 whenever they reunited. He only contributed one song, but still it's a good song. But I think his first production credit outside of ELO was what was it? Del Shannon, I think around 1974 or so forth. But apart from the ELO stuff, he was responsible for producing a couple of albums for Dave Edmunds. This is '84's Riff Raff, and this is '83's Information. Obviously he's very much associated with the Travelling Wilburys, so he produced this for Roy Orbison, which is a fantastic album. He does have his own sound. This is more the Wilburys sound, whereas those two Dave Edmunds were more the ELO Secret Messages type sound. And he produced this fantastic album for what would probably have been the next Wilbury if he hadn't taken his own life, and that's Del Shannon's Rock On. This is a fantastic album. He also produced for George Harrison, and I've lifted the wrong album. I've lifted Gone Trouble instead of Cloud 9, so I won't show that. And he also produced a track of Brian Wilson's 1989 album, which I think is really, really good. It's 89 or 88. I'm not too sure. I can't really see that. 88 actually. Let It Shine, and he wrote that as well. And of course, we have Tom Petty, and he did 3 Tom Petty albums. This one here, Into the Great Wide Open, Full Moon Fever, and the one that people forget about, which I've forgotten the name of, Highway Companion, which is a really strong album, and it doesn't have that same sort of Geoff Gellin Wilbury production. He's toned it down a bit, and he also contributed to Duane Eddy as well. So he contributed to a lot of groups and artists that were almost past their sell-by date, and also those that weren't, like, because he did work with Paul McCartney on Flaming Pie, and of course Ringo Starr on Time Takes Time. So Geoff Gellin would definitely get in as well. Next one up, and I'm going to go with this guy. Nick Lowe. Yeah, one of my all-time favourite artists. Brilliant albums, brilliant songwriter, but between the years of around 1977 and 1982, brilliant producer as well. And this is probably Graham Parker's best album. This or the second one. Nick didn't produce the second one, but he did this one. This is Howlin' Wind. This is absolutely fantastic. And he also produced the Damned's first album, with New Rose probably being the first British punk single, and this is a really good album as well. Again, he also did produce his wife, and this is Carleen Carter's Blue Nun, which I really like. Carleen Carter's pop albums. I love her country albums as well, but this is like country pop, and this is really good. But I suppose the jewels for Nick Lowe for producing all these albums for Elvis Costello, and for me Elvis Costello's time with Nick Lowe was his best, from My Aim Is True up to Trust. He did come back again for Blood and Chocolate, which is a really good album as well, but those 5 albums for me are the 5 essential Elvis Costello albums. Not only albums, but he did do a few other singles, and he did Reckless Eric's Whole Wild World, and The Pretender, Stop Your Sobbing. So Nick Lowe would be up there with one of my favourite producers. Now, my all-time favourite producer is this guy. and that of course is Tony Visconti. And if you know my music, you'll know why. You have T-Rex, which he produced all his albums from 1968 to 1974. David Bowie, which he started in '70, and actually he started in 1969. He produced the Space Oddity album, and then he did Man Who Sold the World. Although he didn't do the Space Oddity single, that was Ghost Dungeon. Then he came back in the late '70s and he was on and off. And to me, fantastic producer. He also did a couple by Hazel O'Connor. I'm trying to juggle these about. This is probably her best album here, Breaking Glass. But again, I want to show this album just for the sake. Now this is Cover Plus that he did. This is Scary Monsters that he did. Are those two album covers not similar, or what? Those are so similar. I can't believe it how close they are. But yeah, two excellent albums. He also produced some of my other favourite artists as well. He did Adamant in 1985 with Vive La Rock. He did Sparks, and this is my favourite Sparks album, and it's my favourite album from 1975, and that is Indiscreet. He did the very underrated Boomtown Rats 5 Deep album from 81 or 82, and this is a sound album. He did Mongo Bongo as well, which I wasn't as keen on, from 80. And this is the only album I have of Thin Lizzy. He produced a couple of their albums, but he's got the credit on probably my favourite Thin Lizzy single, and that's Do Anything You Want to Do, or Do Anything You Want To, from, I have no idea what the name of the album is. I think it's Black Rose. I must check that album out. Yeah, so Visconti, he's done so many albums. He also produced for Morrissey as well. He produced Tom Paxton's Peace Will Come, Mary Hopkin, awful lot of artists. And my claim to fame, it's not really my infamous claim to fame, or my claim to infamy, is that I was in a group on Facebook, a T-Rex fans group, and somebody asked the question, what was the last album that Visconti produced for T-Rex? And I said, well, the last one he was involved with was Zinc Alloy, but he did produce or remix a few of the crappy singles from the 1980s, like Get It On and Jeepster. And I went to bed then because I was working nights, and it was early afternoon, and I got up late afternoon, and I got a message from a couple of my friends saying, I see you've upset Mr. Visconti. And I looked on the Facebook fans group, and under my comment, Tony Visconti had written, what do you mean crappy singles? And oh my god, I've offended the guy. So I said, I held my ground, and I said, like, to be honest with you, they were okay at the time, but I would never go back to them now. The originals are the best. And he said, yeah, I agree. The only reason he did those was because they were licensed to be done, and they didn't want any producer touching them, so he did them. But then I sort of brown-nosed him a bit and said, look, I love the work you did with the Sparks Indiscreet, but no, he was decent enough about it. I also asked him would he ever mind getting his hands on Futuristic Dragon and Zip Gun and Dandy and the Underworld to do a remix of them, and he said he would love to, but it'd be so difficult to get the rights that he wouldn't even bother trying. Okay, so anyway, that's going on a bit. That's my 5 producers that I really do like. I hope other people jump on this thread and show their 5 favourite producers. I know there's a lot more out there that I could have picked, but I'm not going to mention them just in case anybody else wants to jump on this thread. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.